This is going to be extremely basic to the point where anyone can do this, and I would need to preface this within the first 20 seconds is I am sorry, but I can't help you. I do not make packs anymore. I do not make texture packs in the slightest. The only reason why I'm doing this is because I know it'll help a lot of people in the grand scheme of things, of that making a basic guide of how to actually make bedrock texture packs, or at least the broad strokes of them. With that being said, there are so little minute things in this like entire folder that can go wrong, that you can do wrong while opening the game, that I just don't have the patience or time to deal with. So I am sorry, but I cannot help you if you have any specific questions for this. I'm super sorry, and it makes me sound really bad, but I am just covering my bases here of that I can't help you. This is my way of helping you of the broadest strokes. With that being said, let's get into it. I'm of course going to be doing it on the PC, but you can do this on Android and Apple if you want. It is harder. I don't prefer it doing it that way, but I am on computer and I will do it that way. The basic idea for mobile is you want to get a file explorer. The one I use on Android is CX File Explorer, and I've listed ones for Apple in the past, but apparently they don't work as well. Just find a file explorer you can use on Apple. So assuming you're starting from nowhere, you're going to want to download like any pack that you can think of, that being a file that is marked .mcpack. That is the standard format that is used for texture packs on Minecraft Bedrock Edition. With that, you're going to have to either rename it to a .zip, or you can just extract it in general. This will get you into the files that you can actually access and tinker with. What I'm going to be doing for this guide is essentially redirecting you to all these different parts of the pack instead of telling you exactly how to make a texture pack, because there's so many different ways to make a texture pack. So I'm just going to show you the very common places that you can go to find all of the main things and how to make it into a pack. The main thing that's important here is the manifest.json file. This is essentially the brain of the pack, or what makes it a pack. So let's access it. This is what makes the pack able to be imported into Minecraft and actually gives it its name and its unique UUID. These cannot be the same ones, so whenever you go and get a UUID, do not make these the same ones, or else it will not be able to import it. What I do is I go to uuidgenerator.net. Some people just change one letter in it. That's only worked sometimes for me, so I recommend just coming here and copying it and pasting it right into the top line next to the name. It won't always look like this, but it's pretty reliable that it looks like this. Copy it right in there. The description is obviously the description that comes under the pack. This little tilde right here actually gives packs their certain coloring. I'll put up the color chart on the screen right now. For sub packs, you're gonna want, if there's nothing here, if your pack doesn't have a sub pack, as you can see here, it is just quote subpacks and then colon followed by a square bracket. After which the subpacks go in last to first order. This means that this one is actually the last one when you go to select it in game, while this one is the middle and this one is the one on by default. Just keep that in mind. The pack icon can basically be anything, but it can be meshed to different things. You basically just find something with a square. And as I said before, if it doesn't work, just paste it over in the pre-existing one that does work, because that one does. Something I didn't say is that this is called the root. This is where, right when you come into the pack, is where everything is. It's where the manifest goes, the loading messages, pack icon, and all the other folders. I guess we'll just go straight down the line and just get into the most important one, which is textures. This goes pretty much for everything, and it's pretty obvious of what everything is. Here's the bow. Here's something specific, is that wooden tools aren't called wooden, they are called wood. So make sure putting it in, it is wood instead of wooden. Here in the miscellaneous, this is where, as this name says, miscellaneous things live, such as the enchantment item glint, force field, pumpkin blur, if you want to remove pumpkin blur, it's in here, spyglass, underwater, stuff like that. Models is very important as well, because this is where the actual model for the armors come from that go on your player. These are called different ones. So for example, the top half of your body is 1 and then the bottom half is 2 as well. Painting is very specific. I really don't know why, but this is where all the paintings live. Same thing with particles, but it makes a lot more sense here. The particles.png file is where you'll find most of the particles that you'll use, such as damage, hearts, fire, etc. Now getting into UI is a little bit more specific because there can be a lot in here. This is where the experience bar lives, and it does kind of have to be, if you find an experience bar that you like, you probably are going to have to use the empty one. Not always, but it's how it works, and especially this experience nub. If your experience bar isn't working really properly, make sure you copy the exact same experience nub. This is also where your hotbar lives, starts from 0 and ends at 8. Same thing with your empty armor slots, your cursor, obviously your potion effects, crosshair, which has an underscore with it, and your hunger bar as well. You can also have your hearts here, but I don't have any in my pack. Now here's where most of the items live, which is in the blocks. And again, it's kind of the same idea, is everything is named very specifically in blocks. If there are sides to blocks, they will be named, such as TNT side, TNT bottom, etc. Do be noted of that chests do not live here. Chests live in another folder. Another portal lives here, obviously. Well, maybe not obviously. Fire also lives here, in which I really didn't know that for a while. So yeah, this is the entire fire cycle, which is fire 0 and fire 1. And here's where I was just talking about with entity. Actually, I lied back there. Mobs live here. So the pig is in there. It might not be in a folder. Beds, boats, chests, piston arms, shields, skulls, stuff like that. Experience orbs, fireworks, environment. Make sure to always spell it right, because I spelled it wrong a lot of the times when I was first making my pack. So just, if you're making the folder, make sure you spell environment right. This is where the breaking stage lives, where the end sky lives, the moon and sun, rain and snow, and stuff like that. GUI is very interesting because this is where icons.png is, and this is where by default, where your, as the name implies, icons live. So your hearts, your armor, breathing, hunger, this is where it takes it by default, but it will, those files that were in UI that you remember, the experience bar, the UI takes priority. Thus I have that rainbow one, and the same thing for the crosshair, that I have a crosshair.png. GUI is the same thing. You can see right here, hotbar is default, but because I have those files in UI, those files will always take priority. I don't know if this has changed, but at least this is how I did it, of that in GUI, there are some packs that have a new GUI folder. I think you can also have it just in this folder that we were just in, but this black.png is your chat opacity. This is what you replace to make it so you can have clear chat. And then for a dialogue background atlas, this is what makes it so your inventory is a different color or a different style. This is where it defaults to, at least on the time of recording. We're back in the root, which, like I said, is the main area for packs. And UI is where you can find things like buttons on the chat menu, or what makes it so you can have bottom chat. These are specific things that are not texture related. Same thing with sounds. Of that sounds is very specific. So for example, this right here is the kill in survival games. This is damage, like taking a hit, as it says. Raid sound, as in when you win a hive game. And then some random things, and random as in closing chests, opening doors, or clicking on buttons in the menu, or getting an experience point. Some people don't really understand subpacks, but they're actually kind of easy if you know what you're doing. Right when you open subpacks, you're going to see those files that we saw from earlier named the exact things that we said. So in these, you're going to see which is essentially a new root. Now this part is really important, so pay attention. Whatever you have in a subpack will always override what you have in a main pack. So whatever you have in a main pack, whether it be a sky or something, whatever you have in the subpack, always override it. I could put a sky in the main pack that will never be seen, because as long as you have subpacks, as long as you have that thing that says in the manifest that you have subpacks, it will always default to whatever subpack you listed. So make sure if you have something that you want to change, you always have to put it in the subpack folder. For the night one, it's the night sky. For the evening, it's the exact same. And for none, there's just nothing there. There's two different ways that you can do that. You can compress it with all of it selected, or you can put it in a folder and then compress it. And then once that happens, rename the end of it to .mcpack. It'll tell you it might become unstable, and then there you go. Again, please don't leave any specific comments of like things that are going wrong, or like where you don't know where to start, or you don't know why something's not working. Just get into it. I'm making this to be a send-off of my pack making journey. I only make it for my very close friends and for myself at this point. I don't make packs anymore. I just very lightly dabble in it. Unpack the folder and just dig in and see what you like, see what you don't. Do the same for another pack and just throw stuff in there. You're gonna get it wrong, but we get a lot of stuff wrong. It's the fact that you keep going and try to correct your mistakes that makes it so good. And I wanted to make this as a very, very broad strokes way of you getting yourself into MCPE pack making. I really hope that this was helpful. I really hope that if you have any questions, just please reach out to anyone else, any other pack video, or just keep going on Google and just finding your way on your own, because you're a lot more talented and a lot more smart than you think. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what I do, comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.